Hello, so I'm going to be giving honest advice on how to get through year 12. Now that the year 12s have gotten a chance to settle in, now is the time where you take the advice from year 13. The first point I have is sleep. You will not know how much sleep can affect your concentration until you're sat there in a lesson, you can't concentrate, you can't focus, the teacher's asking you a question and you go, I don't know, and they're looking at you like they're disappointed and people are staring at you, especially during exam season. And in year 12 and year 13, you do a lot more exams than you would in other years. You'll be doing a lot more exam practice as well. The latest I would normally go off is around 11 anyways, and I think that's decent. Organisation. Please be organised, get folders, even if you don't end up using them. Have folders, have the little sections for your folders. Have an A4 refill pad, so just normal lined paper. Have notebooks, have highlighters, pens, all of that jazz. Have a calculator if you know you might need it. Just please be organised. Even if you don't end up using all these resources, it's really, really calming when you know you have them. When you know you don't have them, that's when you start to panic. So if you are doing subjects which you can assume you'll need certain resources for, just get them anyway. And sometimes having a folder, even though you might not need it in lesson, having a folder to organise your notes at home or your revision. Go through your notes and your PowerPoints. I get all my PowerPoints through Teams, where we get submitted like homework. I know the internet can be very overwhelming, so if your teacher submits to you the resources that you would normally use, then take advantage of that, because just reading through your notes and going through PowerPoints, you don't need to make notes and just keep going through your notes. Take advantage of the teachers. And I don't say this in like a horrible way. I mean, like, go to your teachers. If you need help, ask for it. If you feel like you're not doing great, tell them. You can go, can I just talk to you outside for a second at the beginning of a lesson? If you feel like you're falling behind where you should be in that lesson. And just if you are having, like, for example, family issues, relationship issues, just make them aware, because they will understand and they will treat you more like an adult once you get to sixth form. They do not treat you like you're year 7. Don't worry, they are human, they know what they're doing, and they do actually have emotions, believe it or not. So they will be there to help you and to support you. So if you want work, if you want practice questions, if you want to do an essay and let them mark it for you, they're doing their job if you do that. So they would rather help you and you get good grades than sitting there like a gnome and you just struggle. It does reflect on them, whatever grade you get. If you need a counsellor, please ask ahead of sixth form or ahead of year, whatever you have, and just say if you could be put on the waiting list for counselling, or if you can get it, or if you can get some sort of resource outside school externally. It's always good. Even if you don't have any diagnosed medical conditions, it's always good to have a therapist if you feel like you need a bit of extra support, especially with A-levels, because you're going from GCSE to A-level. And for me, that transition wasn't exactly difficult, but I know it is for a lot of people. I did do 3 new subjects that I'd never studied before. So, and they were all essay based and all fully exam based. But some people do struggle with that transition, and socially as well, or they might have things going on at home. So if you do have a school counsellor, take advantage of it, and if you don't, maybe talk to someone to see if you can find external sources. Careers advice, so if you get like emails about uni, take advantage of that. But if you have a careers advisor in the school, maybe have a chat, because you need to start sorting yourself out in year 12. You can't get to year 13 and be like, maybe I'll do this. I mean, you can, but you need to know an idea, or have some sort of, even if you don't know what area you're going to go into, just know if you're going to go to uni, or if you're going to want to go straight into a job. Like, you need to have some idea if you want to accomplish that when you leave. Use your study periods, and you don't have to use them all for revision, and that's not realistic whatsoever. If you looked at the study periods in my school, half the people are just talking and on their phones, or listening to music, or playing games. A lot of people play games. You're in the environment of studying and other people studying, and it kind of can give you that motivation because you're in the environment. You can use some of your free periods if you need a break, especially if you have like 4 lessons in a day and like in a row, and then you're like, I just need a break. Year 12 you do need to revise because it is an overwhelming amount of content that needs to be revised. Or just use it for homework, because technically doing your homework is kind of like revision because you're reviewing notes. Have a realistic expectation of yourself. You are not expected to achieve above and beyond. Don't be afraid if you're like at an E or a D in year 12. You've got 2 years, babe. You're fine. And a E is a pass. So, but if you think about it, an E would be equivalent to a 4, I think. Well, it should be. You're doing new subjects, you're still settling in, especially if you're at the beginning of year 12. Once you get to the end of year 12, that's when you do your end of year exams, and then you sit there and you figure out, okay, this is my expected grade. What grade am I at now? How can I achieve the grade I want? And what am I going to do to get there? That teacher will have based a grade off of the whole year. There's a lot of contributors to what your estimated grade will be, because they will realise if you're a very chatty person, if you don't do well in exams, but you might do well in lesson. So if you are estimated like a D, but you feel like you do really well in class, maybe you're really good at understanding concepts, but when it comes to an exam, you get anxious and you forget everything. I feel like I'm the opposite. Like in lesson, I'm like, I can kind of get it, and then I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I go into the exam being like, what am I doing? And then I'll get to a question and I'll just start waffling. Not that I'll get all of it right, but for some reason I can just churn out waffle. Look into further education. Please do this. You're year 12, even though you've got 2 years until you are going to uni, job, apprenticeship, whatever. You need to look into it now, or just look into every single avenue of further education. And if you do PSHE, I'm sure that teachers will be able to help you, or if you just talk to your head of year, because looking into unis as soon as possible is really good for yourself. Even in year 11, it is very, very valuable to start looking. UCAS applications, I'm pretty sure like the UCAS system opens, I think it was in May of year 12. So you're starting the uni process and building your UCAS application in year 12. So you need to be prepared that you're going to have to try and decide what uni you might want to go to, what job you want. If you want to do an apprenticeship or a degree apprenticeship, if you want to stay at home for a year, if you want to travel for a year, if you want to do open uni, etc. Make time for other things. You have a life. A-levels is not your whole life. You can just try and make time for other things, like if you have a partner, if you have friends, family, just going on walks. And if you don't have like a circle of friends, make time for yourself anyways, and even if you do, obviously, but just find the time for yourself as well as everything else. Going on a walk, listening to music. I love going on a walk when I don't feel great and listening to music full volume. When you're making time for other people, you're also kind of making time for yourself because you're spending time with family and friends. So that's always a good thing to do. If you have hobbies, still making time for them, as long as they're not like overly time consuming. It's okay to have a day off for yourself. Babe, trust me, I've been there so many times, going home from school, taking a day off, feeling like, oh, I'm gonna go home at some point today, so there's no point in me going in. And I still go in, but I will go home. I always end up going home because sometimes you just know in your head, I cannot get through a whole day. But I think it's always better if I go in first, because I know that I've gone to school, I've tried, and just say to whoever you need to speak to, I'm not doing great mentally. Is it okay if I go home because I just need some rest because I can't concentrate? You're allowed to take a day off for your mental health. Don't take advantage of it. But if you are struggling, teachers will understand if your mental health isn't great, especially when you're transitioning from GCSE to A-level. I'm sure they'll understand. If they don't, they're a brick. But talk to your teachers. If you obviously, I've already said a bit about this, but if you need a deadline extended, if you need support in lesson, if you need a bit, maybe like just a vent, they are there and they will understand more because of the age you are, and they treat you, as I say, more like an adult. So they will kind of be able to give you more advice, and they can give you advice on uni. You might end up having a comfort teacher or just a teacher that you normally go to all the time and don't feel like a burden. Teachers are there for support, but not just academically. I feel like they are really good emotional support where they've been through education as a whole. They would have been through mental struggles and things that you wouldn't know of. They want you to achieve the best grade, and if they have to sit with you every single week for a few hours going over what you did, or going over maybe a topic from a couple terms ago, they will do it, because ultimately they want you to get good grades, and it looks good on them, but they want you to get them good grades. So just take advantage of them. If you need advice on making friends, I can't give you too much because I don't have like a group, but I can only suggest making friends with people in your classes and slowly like merge. You end up finding a way to cope socially there. So if that is, you find a massive group, or you find a best friend and it's just you two, and then when they're off from school you go absolutely mental because you can't cope without them. People, even if it's just like the people you talk to in lesson and you don't talk to them at break and lunch, they're doing the same A level as you, so they've got a common interest. Thank you for watching, and I'm really hoping that this helps someone, because year 12 starting for me was a really weird experience. You don't know how to feel, you don't know what to do, you're just there and you're like, right, so this is my life for the next 2 years. I've got 8 months to revise and do my exams. 8 full months, and then it is full steam ahead. I have exams this year in like November, December. I have exams next year in March. I am wanting to cry, but I know that I'll get through it, and everyone else is starting year 12 the same way you are, unless they're redoing it. But you're not alone in whatever you're going through, any struggle, and there will be other people in the year that can like empathise with you. So if you do need to talk to someone, please do. Thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting me.